The 19th century red brick house at 307 North Church Street, named the Carter House, has been a historical landmark in Wood County for many years. Before the Carter House came to be a part of the Wood County District Public Library, it belonged to many prominent families of Wood County. From its construction in 1877 by prominent businessman Norton Reed to the event space it is today for WCDPL, the house has quite the history in Wood County. When Reed and his wife Ellen came to Wood County in 1865, it was during a time of great economic growth. When building the Carter House, they did so upon one of the highest points in the city, marking it as an impressive home. During the Reed's time in the Carter House, the Sentinel Tribune described the home as an ornament to the city.
So to really understand the grand nature of the Carter House at this time, you really need to understand what Bowling Green was like at the time. It was not the large city that it is today. Even the main intersection of Wooster and Main Street, those streets didn't extend much further than a block in either direction. So the city was much smaller than it is. The house was also built in 1877, which predates a lot of the other larger homes in the city. In fact, many of the large homes on Wooster Street were not there yet. So it really would have stood out as a fine estate at the time. The home was also on a larger piece of land at the time, and there was a major railroad that came along the back side of the property. And while today, of course, that sounds terrible, we wouldn't want a railroad in our backyard, the community at that time depended on the railroad for a lot of things, for travel and business ventures. So it was actually considered prestigious to have a railway line that close to your property. So when we take all of this together, we can really see how the Carter House at this time would have been a fine estate situated on the outside of town, up on a hill, with a major thoroughfare nearby. And so it really would have been a fine estate.
In 1897, after the death of his wife, Reed sold the home to attorney and Ohio General Assemblyman Benjamin James, who owned the house until 1934. In his care and ownership, the house was described in the Sentinel Tribune as one of the finest estates in Bowling Green, and was acclaimed for its acres of forest, the tidiness of its grounds, and was said to have one of the finest libraries in the state. Under James's ownership, the house was referred to as Mon Cambria and frequently served as a meeting place for the Shakespeare Round Table. Mrs. James was a member of the group and hosted their first meeting in 1905.
So in 1905, 11 women gathered at the home of Mrs. Benjamin James, the house we now know as the Carter House, and they came together to form a group that studied literature. Initially, they thought they would study the works of Charles Dickens, but by the end of that first meeting, they had changed their focus to William Shakespeare. And they took this study very seriously. They would read the works of Shakespeare, they would get together and discuss them, they would do research papers on Shakespeare and present them to each other. They even brought in guest speakers from all over to talk about Shakespeare. And we know these things because the Sentinel Tribune would cover their events. They would announce their upcoming meetings and talk about what they were going to do at them. And then sometimes they would talk about the meetings afterwards and what had been discussed. Now, in addition to this group that studied literature, these women also saw themselves as patrons to the community, and they wanted to give something back. So in 1911, at one of their meetings, they got together and discussed starting the first fundraising campaign for a public library in Bowling Green. And we know this because the Sentinel also covered this and has several opinion pieces about the importance of a public library to the community and what it would do for the community. And this campaign was also successful. And why this is so important to us is that because that public library that they initially founded eventually became us, the Wood County District Public Library. And so while we didn't know it at the time when we acquired the Carter House, we quickly learned that not only was the Shakespeare Round Table founded there in the Carter House, but we were essentially born there as well. So it really is kind of an exciting piece of serendipitous history, if you will.
After James came multiple different owners throughout the years until it was purchased by Robert and Patricia Maurer in 2006, who then donated the home to the library in memory of Maurer's aunt, Martha Maurer Carter. After the house was remodeled and reopened in 2013, it was renamed the Carter House in her honor. WCDPL frequently uses the Carter House for programs and meetings, and the house remains a community treasure.